Action Comics 1046, Philip K. Johnson writing with Fico Ozio on the art. So this is not the final issue of the Warworld saga. There's a one-shot coming that's going to be the big send-off for it. But this is the final issue in action of it.
Yeah.
Before we start the crossover with Kal-El coming back to Earth. So it is a pretty decent issue. I think what maybe hurts a couple of these later issues in this run is just that because they're more action focused, they don't have quite the same thoughtfulness that a lot of the better issues do.
This one's puts the action in Action Comics.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at it for that. However, why I love this run was the whole inspiration of Superman, which is cool because we get to look at him from different perspectives in Warworld, and that's what really drives that home. Here we are straight up following Kal-El as he looks for the fire of, I always forget the dude's name. Olgren. There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean,
again, this is like Philip Kennedy Johnson doing space fantasy, and I'll never be mad at that. So
yeah, and
cool.
There's some good stuff in the action. He opens up the mouth of like a worm with all these big spiky teeth at one point, and that looks quite cool. But he's getting to the where this Fire of Olgren is, and he meets this kind of like spirit effectively, who asks him a riddle if he can get a chance to go meet like what's left of Olgren, and Olgren like goes to fight him. But it turns out this big like avatar of Olgren is really just being controlled by the spirit. But Superman at one point, because he doesn't know that yet, like dives to save the spirit and push her out the way of the big warrior, and that kind of is what convinces her that he's worthy of the Fire of Olgren. Because she says, you would give your life for an unliving child, and he just smiles and says, "You don't seem that unliving to me." So that's kind of the the inspiration, and that's what this run is best at. So that's
So he comes in and she gives him the riddle, which I love all that stuff, and he has to figure out. And it's a father had given out 4 gifts, and he has to guess the gifts, and it's kind of like a riddle of the Sphinx, where it shows the nature of man. So Superman figures it out, and then he has to fight this gigantic Olgren like statue, if you will, which was all very fun. And when it this little girl spirit, he goes to save her, and because as he comes up, she's like, well, this is impossible. You're a warrior with no bodies on your soul. You are actually an unblooded sword. There's no way you're going to get through here.
As in, he's not killed anyone because he's Superman.
Right. He hasn't killed anybody, and that other more powerful warriors have come through here, and they weren't able to. And it just shows that it's because Superman's not looking to harm, right? And that's what makes him worthy of the Fire of Olgren. Is he's the type of pure soul that'll be able to wield it. Because even saving this avatar at the end of this little girl who's Olgren's daughter, that's what she represents. That's what the fire was. And again, that's also very much in why Superman's doing all of this. It's like he's not going to use the fire to take over Warworld. He's using it to free everybody. He's using it for other people. And I really loved how that all was driven home through the super action-y, Indiana Jones-esque at parts story. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously the big thing at the end, though, is he comes back out with the Fire of Olgren, and what's his name? Krillix, who is the one that's mainly been working with him, the old one who's been teaching him the ways of the Philosians. He has betrayed him. He's made some kind of deal with Mongol, and Mongol's got his giant sword, and he's threatened the kid Philosians and says, "Give me the Fire of Olgren, or I'll kill these little buggers."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Obviously it's a decent cliffhanger to get into the big final issue. The idea that Mongol just wants to take it off him after Superman's the one who's went and retrieved it and proven himself worthy is quite interesting. Can Superman even just pass it on as simply as that? Right. I mean, I don't know.
No, and I feel like it's going to be a thing that this is him being in possession of the fire is going to be able to make him more Superman, right? It's going to put his powers kind of back.
Feel like it's going to cure whatever was draining them in the first place. Yeah.
Right, and so, but also Krillix, it was like, you should have let me die when they were fighting the worm, and it was just, and Superman's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because if I don't make it back, the Philosians trust you, so we want I need to ensure that someone's going to make it back to keep this going. yeah, so there was something going on with Krillix there at the beginning, and then at the end when it's revealed that he, flipped over for Darkseid for whatever reason, Darkseid for Mongol for whatever reason, um, we'll find out. But yeah, I do feel like this fire is what is going to even the odds for Superman to eventually free War World, because we know it's coming. So.
Oh yeah, that's what we're building up to.
Yeah, but no, really good. Pico Osia's art I really like the action stuff was I think drawn really well. I never got lost in any of it. Like it all read, as it should, very sequentially. And I like his Superman. His Superman feels very old school kind of Superman, where he's not like yeah, he has rippling muscles, but he's not super jacked. He has just a strong man presence, which is cool. So.
Yeah, I like the issue. I like kind of the final beats of how he gets the fire, and the cliffhanger's cool. But it has a lot of action, and it's not necessarily what I think the strength of this run is, though. So it's not like a standout of the run for me. It's it's a necessary part to get to the next point effectively. But with some good moments, sprinkled in throughout. I do wonder how it's going to read when it's all just done and you can just read it in one succession, because I think it's issues like this where it's mostly just action that I feel suffer the most from the month wait, because it doesn't feel there's a lot of meat in it. It feels like it's all just a bit of flashiness. But no, good all said. No, I do like the final page quite a bit. Obviously, I wish the art was more consistent and we just had the main artist the whole time. But, I mean, obviously at this point that's long gone. Hopefully, the final one shot is what's his face?
I know who you're talking about. The artist. Yeah.
The names escape me, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
So yeah, that's cool. And then the backup, which is also, of course, by Johnson. You've got Conduit having stolen the fragment.
Genesis.
Yeah, the Genesis fragment. The Super Family show up and basically take care of him. Bit of action, whip bang. John shows up, and what's interesting here? There's 2 points here that are very interesting. So when he gets into trouble and realizes that he can't win this fight with 5 members of the Superman family, he calls Amanda Waller and says he needs help. And Waller says, "My team on your Earth doesn't have the firepower to take a group like that." And I'm like, what do you mean you're... all of a sudden, what's this? This is a Waller from another Earth who sent Conduit in?
Yeah, that might have been a typo.
You think?
Maybe.
Well, I don't know, because then after they take him down and he tries to supercharge himself with the fragment, which destroys the fragment when Steel has to smash it off of him. He says, just as he's going down, he's awake now, he sees us, he's coming. So I'm actually wondering if they're setting up a big story for after Warworld Saga.
Yeah, well, I took that as it's the darkness is coming.
But from Dark Crisis?
Yeah. That's what I think. Because he saw the whatever was coming, because the kryptonite and whatever in his system with the Genesis, I felt that sent him. Because that's the only thing I think that could make sense. Because what else could it, what else would they be setting up? I don't know. A story here.
Their next story, whatever the next story is, it could be anything.
I don't know about that. I just feels like
I did not get Dark Crisis tease or tie in to that line at all. Nothing about that felt Dark Crisis to me.
I don't know. I hope you're more right, because that felt wedged in here.
This feels more like what Johnson's setting up his own plot for later to me. This did not feel like a Dark Crisis thing.
Well, I hope.
As the Amanda Waller thing saying, "I don't have a team on your Earth to deal with this." That feels like a setup to me. But I mean,
the other thing here that got me too is the whole firepower, because it's all of these supers, which I really like that even Waller knows when there's 5 of them in one spot. That's a whole lot for her to deal with. And then also, Conduit using that whole anti-alien rhetoric, and Supergirl pointing out that, Keenan and Steel are as human as they get. They just have they have Superman branding, if you will.
Connor's half human as well.
Yeah, and Connor's half human. So was John. So just I like her pointing out how stupid he sounds. That's fun. And he had to destroy the Steel had to destroy the Genesis fragment, which was kind of like anticlimactic because he just is kind of like, oh well, that's there. Supergirl points out to him, well, how are you gonna save Fa'ala now? And he's like, oh well, Superman won't give up on her. We won't either. And I was kind of like, oh okay, well, this whole idea was him using the Genesis fragment. I don't know. It just kind of fell flat there, just because it was one of those things where, oh, the only thing we need, he destroyed. Well, hopefully Superman saves the day, So
Yeah, it just says to be continued on the one
yeah.
shot. Yeah, so I thought those two teases were interesting, although you're writing them both
Yeah.
off as a typo and it's just Dark Crisis. I don't think either of those are true, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes from it.
I hope I'm wrong. And one of the times you'll ever hear that.
Luckily for you, you'll run a lot, so. Alright, what are you giving Action Comics?
So I'm gonna give the main story a 9. I'm gonna give the backup a 7.5. So overall, I'll give this an 8.
Yeah, I'd probably say main story an 8, backup like a 7, so I guess if I'm drawing the average, 7.5.